Who wins, 100 men or one gorilla? Well, to get your answer, we're going to have to look at our fighters for the most anticipated cage match of 2025. And in the red corner, standing at an impressive 6 feet tall and weighing a ridiculous 220 kilos, we have one singular silverback gorilla. Stepping into the ring to settle the score against humanity for what we did to Harambe, this fighter is bringing some impressive physical strength, capable of lifting up to 800 kilos of weight, meaning that if it gets its hands on you, a gorilla is more than capable of picking you up and doing you the same way that Hulk did Loki. Now, on top of being stronger than Eddie Hall, they also have an unreal reach advantage with a 2.6 meter wingspan, which is a fairly major problem because a right hook from a gorilla produces 2,700 pounds of force. To put that into perspective, the human skull shatters at 1,400. So if Winston hits you with a haymaker, your head is gonna pop like a watermelon. And with the cage fight following the Mortal Kombat rule set, we can also factor in the gorilla's bite, because despite being a pretty gentle herbivore in the wild, they have one of the highest bite forces on the planet at 1,300 psi. That is 100 psi more than a polar bear. And now, with our fighter statistics out of the way, let's get down to business. Can our gorilla win a fight against the 100 average men in the blue corner? Place your bets. Let's see who comes out on top. Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it real with you. Even with those stats, Winston here is getting bodied. I'm sorry, he's going back to the spawn room. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 directly to hanging out with Harambe in heaven. 100 people, it's just too fucking many. He's getting jumped. However, not to say he's not going to take a few with him. My guess is one guy runs up and gets swatted across the cage like a toddler, shatters his ribs against the bars. Second guy gets grabbed by the leg and given the Hulk treatment. About 6 other guys cop swings to the head and die instantly from broken necks. One dumbass is probably going to try to hit him off the top rope and get done the same way that Omni-Man did Nightwing. But at that point, the crowd probably jumps in and realizes that there are still about 90 of them and it's over. Not that the fight even needs to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time we lost a gorilla to human stupidity. This wasp is basically a xenomorph. Introducing the tarantula hawk wasp, possibly one of the most nightmare-inducing insects on the planet. And the reason it's such a threat to your mental health is because its hunting and reproduction strategy is ripped straight from Ellen Ripley's autobiography. But before we get to the strats, you're gonna have to learn a little bit about it first. Native to Australia, because of course it fucking is, this fucker is the largest wasp on the planet, coming in at a massive 2.5 inches. Which, I mean, boys, we would all agree, well above average, right? Huge. And this is probably the most effective 2 inches has ever been because it has the second most painful sting of any insect on the planet, coming in just barely behind the bullet ant. Pack and a half-inch stinger with a potent venom that has been described as blinding, debilitating, I can't move my arm, and electric. Now, the size and poison aren't just for nothing, because as the name tarantula hawk wasp suggests, they are purpose-built, genetically perfect killing machines designed specifically to violate spiders, making Australia basically an all-you-can-eat buffet for them. But they don't just execute the spiders. No, that'd be too normal. Hawk wasps use spiders to reproduce in one of the most horrific ways possible. And that all starts with a female hawk wasp hunting down a tarantula. As the buff bulking spider takes a wrong turn down a dark alley, the hawk wasp, noticing the 8 sets of TNs on his feet, proceeds to fucking jump him, flying down from above to land a sting into the spider's abdomen, instantly and permanently paralyzing it. The Bug Harbour Butcher then proceeds to drag the still completely conscious and aware spider into an isolated kill room, which is where the fucked up part really begins. Because our wasp isn't hungry, it's pregnant. and proceeds to lay its egg on the paralyzed spider's abdomen. After about 3 to 4 days, that egg hatches into a larvae. A very, very hungry larvae. Fortunately, there's a whole bunch of fresh food right here underneath them. That food being the still paralyzed, still very conscious and aware spider. The larvae burrows into the spider's abdomen and gets to work converting it into a KFC family bucket, consuming it from the inside out, purposely avoiding vital organs to keep the food nice and fresh. After it's done consuming a living being, the larvae breaks forth from the demolished corpse like a fucking chestburster and fucks off to continue the generational arachnid violation. Anywho, good luck getting any sleep tonight. Australia has just found zombified bugs. That's right, we are closer to the Walking Dead Down Under than you think. You see, just recently, a scientist by the name of Dr. Francois Broussard made a trek out to the remote savannah of the Northern Territory, with the goal of finding and cataloguing brand new species of insect unknown to science. I mean, me personally, I think we've found more than enough bugs, especially considering that half of them can send me directly into the fucking soil. But what do I know, right? Anyway, on his trip to the middle of nowhere, he stumbled across a colony of spiny savanna ants, which is a pretty normal thing to find out there. However, getting closer, he noticed something a little off. You see, the main ant colony was fine, completely normal. However, the several disfigured and deformed ant corpses clamped onto shoots of grass surrounding the colony like a Bug's Life version of Vlad the Inhaler. Yeah, those were significantly less normal. Broussard, mildly unsettled by the ant gore on his timeline, took samples for inspection and upon getting a closer look, realised something both really cool and really, really spooky. The ants had been overtaken by fungus.
Big old red ones.
More accurately, a previously unknown strain of the cordyceps fungus, infamous around the globe for its ability to create zombie bugs. And the way it does it is unbelievably horrific. You see, it begins with a spore landing on an ant and producing a thin rope-like strand that penetrates and attaches to their exoskeleton. At which point, the ant gets a little timer on his hotbar, counting down to a family reunion with his ancestors. Once inside, the fungus begins to take control of the ant's body and brain function, completely changing their behavior, replacing their colony-focused mindset with one single goal: climb. Its fungus-riddled mind drags its rapidly deteriorating body to the closest high point, which is usually a plant, with its final act being to clamp its mandibles onto the stem in a death grip. Finally succumbing to the infection and being completely consumed, its corpse blossoming into a fully grown cordyceps fungus and raining down spores onto the rest of the colony to continue the cycle of infection. Now look, I know this fungus is found elsewhere in the world, but it's a new strain and it was found in Australia. With my luck, I'm going to be playing The Last of Us against couch-sized spiders within the fucking week.